Reggie here, your friendly neighborhood bodybuilder and comic book collector, and I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. This is the Ready, Set, Go preview show. This is essentially the show where I basically tell you everything that is going to be happening at Regie Collects over the course of the next week. We do a little bit of news, we do some Q&A, we do some other little odds and ends, and then we also give away some pretty cool books. So if this is your first time viewing this live stream, I definitely want to encourage you to hit the subscription button so that you can stay abreast of all the content that I release on a weekly basis. And it also makes you eligible for the various giveaways that I do right here on the channel. We are going to get going in just a couple of moments. But before we do that, I want to say hello to some comic book soldiers that have joined me here in the room. And I am scrolling up to the top of the list because you guys showed up early and have been in here having a pretty robust conversation. So Jason is the first name that I see on the screen here. Jason, I want to welcome you to the live stream. Johnny Future is here. Harvey Abel is in the house. Chaos Lord is in here. Scrolling down through the names. Johnny Future, Monty Vista is here. Wayne McDonald is in the house with the blue wrench. It is good to see you, my friend, and thank you for joining. Tina Cranston is here. Who else do we have here? Scrolling through. Lewis is here. Mr. Cruz, how you doing? Chris Barrett is in the house. It's good to see you, my friend. Another Jason is here. Chaos Lord, if I did not say that. Scrolling through the names, you guys were having a robust conversation. Rush Diehard is here. It is good to see you, my friend. And again, I'm definitely glad that all of you guys were able to make it out for the live stream here tonight. Jason Nova is here. Johnny Future is here. Can't Get Enough is in the house. Cuz Buzz. Paperbacks and soundtracks. Tom Garcia is here. Matt Gray. Mr. Comic 89. It is good to see you. There was another comic. Jose is here. Downright Nerdy Podcast is in the house. James Tomlinson, Ben Compton, and Mr. Logan. DL Comics is here. It is good to see all you guys. And again, I want to thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your evening to actually join us here for the live stream. So I think one. Oh, Chris Bear giving me a hard time. Chris Bear giving me a hard time for the title that I just dropped on the live stream. This is the Ready, Set, Go preview show, but we always talk about some news and stuff like that. And one of the topics that I want to talk about tonight is Spider-Man specifically, but briefly, the question that has found its way to my inbox, both in email and also on Instagram, about the sexuality of Spider-Man. Pause. Yes, the question has come to me several times over the last few days based upon Tom Holland's interview that he did. And people have sent me messages and asked the question whether Spider-Man is gay. I do not believe that Spider-Man is gay. Let's just drop that and get that out of the way. No, he is not gay. There were some comments that were made by Tom Holland in some interviews that he actually did. And I was unable to actually read the original article because there was an original article that dropped in the Times UK, but you actually have to have a subscription to actually view the article. And I don't have a subscription to the Times UK. But in the various articles that I was able to find, Tom Holland actually was quoted. He spoke on a couple of things. And let me read the quote to you. Because I took the time to look this thing up. He said, "I cannot talk about the future of the character," that being Spider-Man, "because honestly, I don't know. And it's out of my hands," he says. "But I know a lot about the future of Marvel, and they're going to be representing lots of different people in the next few years." He goes on to say, "The world isn't as simple as a straight white guy. It doesn't end there. And these films need to represent more than one type of person." So that is basically the full quote that I was able to find. And I think a lot of people have kind of taken that comment and gone on to say that Spider-Man is gay or will be portrayed as being gay. And I don't think that that was what Tom Holland was saying. I think that what he was saying was that there will be diverse representation in Marvel movies. That is basically the gist of what he was saying. But the way that I think some people have interpreted it, because of headlines and things like that, and people, hearing snippets of things, what has come to me is Spider-Man's gay. Did you hear the Spider-Man's gay? I'm hearing that Spider-Man's gay. And I don't believe that Spider-Man is gay. He has a relationship with MJ. So I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about that for just a moment. Let me scroll through the comments and see if folks are talking about that. Yeah, Wayne McDonald is saying, what? Wait, that isn't close to what he said. That is correct. And I just think it's one of those things. Here, Chris Barrett is saying they may want gay characters, and so they're gonna bring in a couple like the Wiccan, Iceman, and Hulkling. They actually already have a gay character in the MCU. And it is, I don't remember the guy's name. I was reading the article and it didn't lock in and I didn't write it down, but there was like some character that was talking to, I think, Captain America, that talked about being in a relationship with a man. And it wasn't like the focus of the conversation or the character, but he was a gay character. And so I think that what Tom is reflecting here is the notion that diversity is important, and that we may see more diverse characters down the road. And so I think that was like the big takeaway, but I think it's like anything else. Sometimes when people hear small snippets of something or how people choose to use headlines can be misleading. And that's why it's important to dig a little bit deeper, to do a little bit of research, and that way you actually know. So there you go. So I wanted to kind of clear that up. Jason says, wasn't Quicksilver and North Star? I think North Star was. I don't know about Quicksilver. Yeah, see, Chaos Lord has said, all you have to do is bring in North Star. There you go. And they made Iceman gay. I think Iceman was gay as well, but I didn't quite understand that, because I thought that Iceman had always been like a ladies' man. At least that was how I kind of remembered it. And, for me, I think diversity is important, right? I think diversity is important. And to represent that on the screen, I think is important. And I think, if a character like Spider-Man is heterosexual, he should be heterosexual, because that's what the character has been. But again, this was just one of those things that kind of bubbled to the surface over the last couple of days. So I wanted to kind of speak to that. Because the headlines that I was reading and the messages that I was getting, I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I don't know how much of this is true, so let me dig into this. Chris Bear says, Quicksilver was hooking up with Wanda and Crystal at the same time, or was this separate? No, don't answer that. Quicksilver married Crystal from the Inhumans. I didn't know that. I think originally it was Johnny Storm that was messing around with Crystal, if I remember from back in the day. So scrolling, John Ryan, how you doing, brother? Welcome to the live stream here. Scrolling through some of the comments. Iceman wanted to I knew that this was going to bring out some interesting comments when I typed that headline. So that was only part of what I wanted to talk about. The other part of what I wanted to talk about as it relates to Spider-Man is doing some really awesome stuff, right? I looked at some of the numbers, and it's doing pretty darn well in the box office. I got a lot of messages from people that actually went to go see it over the last couple of days, and people are like, are you going to see it? Are you going to the movies? I don't want to ruin it for you. I don't go to the movies. I have not been to an actual theater in quite some time. So I'll see it when it comes on like Netflix or Amazon Prime or something like that. But I do appreciate people telling me how good the movie is, right? Because I think that's really cool that I'm at least able to kind of stay in touch with this stuff. But I looked up some numbers because I was curious how well Spider-Man was actually doing, right? And what I found out, a couple of things. The movie actually cost $160 million, $160 million to make this movie. And already it has grossed $580 million, $580 million in a couple of days since that movie was released. I think with about 70% of that coming from international, around 30 some odd percent, maybe 31% actually coming from the US. The US totals 185 million. So just on what the US alone has contributed, they've already recovered their money for the production, not necessarily the promotion, but the production has already been recovered now that they've made $580 million globally. And I think that this says a lot. And the articles that you read actually talk about this as well. So this isn't me making this up. I think it has like a rating of like 92 on Rotten Tomatoes. A lot of the anecdotal evidence that I've heard from you guys are basically saying that it was a really good movie, right? And I think that's a really good sign that both, anecdotal evidence supports that it's a good movie, and there is actual data from the critics and from the box office that are saying that this is actually a really good movie. But what I think it says is that there is not the superhero fatigue that a lot of people have suggested will happen, right? And it could still happen, right? But I think that what this shows is that whether it is a first time kind of movie, whether it's a new character, whether it's a sequel, good stories that are well told will bring people out, right? People will buy tickets to go see really great movies. And yes, maybe Spider-Man Far From Home is actually on the coattails of Avengers Endgame. Maybe there is something there, right? So this still is an important data point to acknowledge. $580 million in a couple of days is significant, right? That is significant, and it's nothing to sneeze at. So I think that's definitely a very good sign that there isn't the fatigue out there, that people are still coming out to support these amazing movies, because there's a lot more movies to come, man. There's a lot more movies, and I'm definitely excited. And I've said this before, that this is almost like a golden age for us in many ways, right? This ability to actually see our comic characters actually come to life on a screen is quite impressive, and it is awesome. And Chris Barrett is agreeing with me that maybe this movie is right in on the coattails of Avengers, and it very well could be, but it's also a really good movie. And I think that if the movie were not critically acclaimed, if the movie was not well received by like the casual comic book fan, I think we could definitely say that. But it seems to be a really good story that is well told, that is well received by audiences, which I think is a really good sign, So we shall see. We shall see. Scrolling through some of the comments here. Matthew is asking if I'm going to the Silicon Valley Comic-Con in August. Bro, I don't know. I applied the other day, maybe it was a week ago, for media credentials. And one of the questions that they actually had in there was, if you are not like traditional media, do you have 1 million subscribers? And I kind of read that and I was like, no, I don't. And I don't know of many comic book channels that have 1 million subscribers. So I don't know whether I'm going to get approved for my media credentials, to be honest with you. But I do have a desire to come to the Silicon Valley Comic-Con. I was there last year. Met Stan Lee, had a really good time at that one, and I do want to come. So we'll see if I can make some magic either through media credentials, or if I'm going to have to belly up to the cash register and pay out some cash. But if I'm there, it will probably be on like Friday, just because that's how I roll. And because I don't do the whole crowd thing, so I'll probably be there like Friday. That'll be like the day that I actually roll in there. So scrolling through some of the comments here, seeing Fishing Freaks Comics, how you doing, brother? It is welcome to see you. Steven is making a comment here. He says, hey, Reggie, I only subscribe to about 10 channels and by far enjoy your content more than any. Thank you, brother. I definitely appreciate that. I mean, honestly, man, this stuff, the YouTube game is not an easy game. It really isn't. And I think what's cool is that I'm having fun doing this stuff, and I think you guys are having fun listening, which I think is really cool. And it is special. There's no doubt about that. So I definitely appreciate the kind words, and welcome to the live stream, brother. I'm hoping that you are enjoying it and will continue to enjoy it. Jason is making a point here that Dark Phoenix was hard to watch. I'm gonna be honest with you. I did not hear very good things about that movie. The box office didn't show it. The anecdotal fan comment back to me was not positive. And yeah, that was the movie that was right on the heels, if you will, of Avengers. And that movie did not do well, and you're not hearing much about it at all. I may need to look up the box office numbers to see what that is looking for. Emerald Knight is making the point here that the new Spider-Man movie is refreshing compared to the older ones. I might need to go back and watch a lot of that stuff. It's so disjointed for me because I tend to see bits and pieces of the movies and not like in a theater. And, when they first come out, I see bits and pieces like later, years later sometimes. But again, I've heard, like Cody is saying here, he says, I thought that Spider-Man was the best yet, which I think is a really good sign, So scrolling through some of the Ox is making a comment here about online pull list, mycomicshop.com. I definitely dig them. So let me keep this thing moving. I'm definitely going to stay around a little bit after we get through some of the other more formal things that we typically do just to answer questions and to chit chat with you guys. So I want to kind of keep this thing moving with the actual agenda that I have. So a couple of other things that I'll say about Spider-Man is that there is a rumor that Spider-Man actually teased the Fantastic Four. There is a scene, and I'm not going to tell you what it is because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. There is a scene that if you're not paying attention, you will miss it. That will actually, to some degree or another, like tease the Fantastic Four. And you know how the MCU does it, man. They put something in a movie and you won't see it for like 3 years, but a lot of people are looking at this thing like they're coming, it's happening. Yes, in like 3 years. So if you haven't seen it, pay attention to some of those scenes towards the end of the movie. If you have seen it, maybe you know what I'm talking about. And if not, you may have to watch it a second time because I know a lot of people are going to see it the second time. So just something that I thought was interesting is that, there's a lot of talk about Fantastic Four before the X-Men, blah, blah, blah. Only time will tell how this thing actually rolls out. Chris Barrett is like, they tease it 5 years before it happens. Well said. I just think it's one of those things, man, where the MCU, they're just really clever, right? And to be honest with you, it doesn't take much to do a tease. Not really, and you can put it in there and then you can still take time to bring it to life. Just because it's in there doesn't mean that it's about to happen, right? I mean, you think about when they dropped in Nick Fury into post-credit scenes in some of the early movies, they didn't even have a signed contract, much less a script that involved Samuel L. But it's like, it's easy to do a little teaser to keep people interested. And I think that's one of the really cool things about the MCU is that all of these little data points all touch one another stretched out over time. And that's what makes it so magical. It's not just one event, one thing that happens. It is all these little nuggets and pearls that are dropped out there for us to latch onto and to have a little bit of fun with. So, all right, so let me keep this thing moving. I want to give you guys a couple of announcements before I get to breaking down the videos that are going to be coming out this week. By way of announcement, the first thing I want to talk about is MIP-It. MIP-It. This is, let me grab this thing right here. MIP-It is something that I introduced in a video earlier this week. These are basically those sheets that you can put into your comics that help with some of the pollutants and gases that are given off by your comics as your comics continue to age. These are the sheets that are actually used by CGC to help preserve the comics that are actually encapsulated. So I had a conversation with the owner of the company that produces MIP-It, and he enjoyed the video that I put together, which I thought was a really good sign that he thought it was a good video. He had a lot of really positive things to say, which I think is really cool. But here's the thing, a couple of things. He gave me a discount code for you guys. He gave me a discount code for you guys. And I want to say, before I give you this discount code, I am not getting paid for any of this stuff. I am not getting any kickbacks or anything else from this company for me talking about it. And so I just want to kind of put that out there because I just think it's important to be transparent whenever possible, right? So the URL for this thing is ready-set-collect.com, ready-set.collect.com. And if you decide to purchase these things, you go there, you do your transaction, and you type in Regie Collects, all caps, I think, Regie Collects, and I think it's a 12% discount. I didn't put it in my notes, but I'm remembering 12%. So it is a 12% discount, which he tells me is the largest discount that they actually offer. So I thought that was really cool, right? So if you guys do decide that you want to get these for your comics to help preserve your comics, you now have a discount code that you can actually use. And I'll try to remember to put the URL and the discount code in this video and the original video so that you guys can have that. All right. So there you go. Jason Tomlinson says, very informative vid. That's my thing is, so here's how he corrected me because I was spelling MIP-It, MIP-It, because that's what it says, right? And he was like, no, it's like whip it and MIP-It. So I got a kick out of that. But yeah, he watched the video. He thought it was a cool video. I thought it was a cool video to put together because, we become aware of all these products right out there. And I became aware of it from one of you guys. Then one of you reached out to me and was like, "Hey, have you ever heard of something that can help?" I'm like, "Yeah, 2 weeks ago. Here's the name of it." And that's what kind of motivated me to do a little bit of research, to reach out to the company, to get us some supplies so that I could do the video to make more people aware of it, because I think it's a cool product, right? It is a product that has some benefit for people that don't want to do encapsulation, but still want to help slow down the aging process of their books, right? And so that's part of the reason why I wanted to bring some awareness of it. I'm actually using it in some of my books. I actually picked some books up. My one set of my Eternals books had a little bit of like molds growth on it. So I immediately used sheets in those books. Even though they had been cleaned up and stuff like that, I still wanted to try to do a little bit extra to protect them. And I wanted to test it out, of course. So those are the books that I chose to use it on. So there you go. Enough about that. Another announcement, Canada Discount Comics is something I've talked about before. Their cutoff is July 23rd. So if you guys decide to order books from them, July 23rd is that. And then I want to give a huge shout out. MIP-It. Chris, you are hilarious. You are hilarious. Hold on one sec. Yes. Wait a minute. IMJ says, I think I've bought a lot of MIP-It paper, micro chamber paper. Yeah. Yep. Yep. So Johnny Future is asking me to repeat it. The website is ready-set-collect.com, ready-set.collect.com. And I'll try to put the URL. The discount code is Regie Collects. Super simple. Regie Collects, REGIE collects. So there you go. I want to thank all of those people that have responded to the fact that I started a podcast. I've been checking the numbers, and it was like day one, it was like, I think it was like 20 people like day one. And I think we are a week maybe into it, 142 people. 142 people have actually got access to the podcast, which I think is really cool. And I want to thank each and every one of you guys for actually signing up to do this thing. So I'm definitely pumped about that. And I will try to push out at least one podcast episode this week for you guys to be able to listen to. But I thought that was really cool that in about a week, 142 people, which I think is really, really cool. So definitely thanks to all of you guys. All right. Joe, Chris Barrett is on a roll today. This dude says, Joe Rogan, here we come. I wish. How big is Joe Rogan's audience? I mean, it has to be what, like 1 million? It's got to be, right? Somebody look that up and hit me with that number, because it has to be a crazy number. All right. So a couple of other things. Let me get to the videos that are coming out this week. You're one of the pod people now. You guys are hilarious. So a couple of videos that are coming out this week. I think there's a couple of cool ones. So here, the biggest video. All right. You ready? The biggest video that is coming out this week is the pressing video. That's the biggest video. I was up until after one of my broadcasts last week, I was up to Joe Rogan versus Regie, book it. I was up until 1:30 filming this daggone video for you people because I felt bad. So that video is dropping this week. Well, part one is dropping this week. I need to figure out whether I drop part two as well, but at least part one of the comic book pressing video is coming out this week. I am dropping a video that I'm calling Mini Golf and Comics. And you'll have to see what those two things have in common when the video drops. I'm doing a video. It's actually going to be a vlog on facsimile covers. A lot of people have been asking me my opinions about facsimile covers, whether I think that they're harmful and detrimental to comics, whether I buy them, whether I think that they're cool, blah, 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 blah. So I did a video on that. So that's actually going to be coming out this week. And then I'm also going to release 2 hunting videos this week. One of them is a follow-up to the Hustling Comics in St. Louis. Hopefully people paid attention to the Hustling, the STL and Hustling for St. Louis. I worked very hard on that graphic. So I'm dropping part 2 of the Hustling Comics in St. Louis video. And then I'm also doing a hunting video in Stockton, California. I went back to Stockton and I did not see any fires this time. My debit card was not frozen by Bank of America for supposed fraud. So it was a good trip. It was not as exciting as the first trip where I had to call the fire department to put out a fire at a homeless encampment. So this was less eventful than that first trip. Greek Geek geek aficionado, it was interesting. I may also do 1 to 2 live streams this week. We'll see how things go. I may have to go out of town this week. I'm not quite sure, but I may actually do 1 to 2 live streams this week. Brett Hess Art says straight out of Stockton. Brother, if you've never been to Stockton, let me tell you, it is a treat. Okay. Oakland is a treat. Stockton is a definite treat. It is quite interesting. It is quite interesting up there in Stockton. But there were 3 really cool comic shops up there in Stockton that I wanted to hit. And you guys will be able to see, I think, some pretty cool footage from those shops. Because there was a lot of footage shot, I wasn't able to get all of it in one video. So I may do another bonus video at some point with some of the additional footage from Stockton. We'll see. I've been having a lot of technical issues with my computer. Long story short, it makes editing really long videos super painful for me. Same thing with creating graphics, which is why you've been seeing so many boring graphics coming out from the channels, because I'm having issues. But that is my cross to bear. So with that, let's go ahead and get to the giveaway for this week. So the giveaway this week is this really cool book right here. It is G.I. Joe #1. It is a 9.6 with white pages. And the phrase to win this book is Go Joe. That was the phrase that you actually had to enter into the MailChimp system in order to be in the running. And a lot of people were able to figure it out and were able to enter the contest. And we did this one because it was the 4th of July week. That's why we decided to do this really cool one from GoCollect. And I think we looked up the value of this book, and I think it was around 140, which is a little bit lower. I think there was a dip after I picked the book up. Neither here nor there. Definitely still a really cool book. And so I want to give a huge shout out to our sponsor, GoCollect, for putting us in a position to be able to do these awesome giveaways every single week. And I actually spoke to the owner of GoCollect just the other day, and he's still as excited about doing these giveaways as I am. So more to come. And I definitely want to thank everyone for actually entering the giveaway for this week. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to pop my screen around so that you guys can actually take a look at the random process that we are going to go through to give away this book. So let me do this thing and get it ready for you guys. All right, so hopefully you guys can actually see my screen here. And the first thing that we're actually going to do is we're going to take a look at the list of names. And before I randomize it, so the list looks a little bit different this time because I did it in a slightly different order. But these are all the names of the people that are entered into this week's giveaway. And if you don't see your name here, there's a chance that you didn't enter the right phrase or you left it blank. And so, of course, those entries did not actually count. But these are all of the individuals that were able to successfully enter this week's giveaway. Okay, so I'm still scrolling. It is a rather long list, not as long as last week's, but definitely a long list of names. So popping over to the other side, we're actually going to roll our dice and figure out how many times we have to randomize this list. And it's 8 times. So we're going to pop back over here and we're going to randomize this list a total of 8 times to give away this book. So I'm scroll down to the bottom here because that was 1. Here is 2. Scrolling. Here is 3. Here's the 4th time. We are halfway there. Here is 5, 6, scrolling, 7. And the winner of this week's GoCollect giveaway is Catherine. Catherine, you are the winner of this week's GoCollect giveaway. Awesome. Awesome. I think this is like the 2nd time that a woman has won. And according to YouTube, and you guys have heard me before, they have basically said no women follow this channel. Clearly, that is incorrect because the first 2 names on here are women. Maybe the first couple. The first couple and the first 5 are women, which I think is great. So Catherine is the winner. She Spawn, who I've gotten to know just a little bit on Instagram recently, was in 2nd place. So Catherine, congratulations to you. Make sure that you send me an email to regiecollects@gmail.com, giving me your screen name, your government name, and also your mailing address. And I'm going to bundle up this awesome book and get it sent over to you first thing in the morning. And just one more look, here is the book that is going to be sent out to her. This This is GI Joe number 1, 9.6 with white pages. Congrats. So I'll be sending that out to you also with an exclusive variant from GoCollect. So there you have it. Let me go back to the chat, see what you guys are talking about before we take a look at next week's giveaway. Such a gentleman, ladies first. It is a really cool book. You know what? I have a copy of this and I still haven't read it yet. I've been reading so much other stuff. I still have not read this book and I'm actually looking forward to reading it. Hopefully I'll get to it soon. I was reading, as you guys know, a lot of the Image stuff over the last couple of weeks. Today I shifted to Valiant and I'll tell you why in just a couple of moments. So I've been reading some Valiant stuff pretty much all day. I think I've read like 8 issues of a couple of different titles. So I'm definitely digging some of the Valiant stuff. I actually haven't read Valiant since honestly the 90s. So I have a lot of stuff that I want to go back and read that I don't remember from the 90s or didn't read in the 90s that I now want to actually take a look at. So definitely take a look at that. You guys are Hawaiian Punch in your face says next week is a 9.8 CGC Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 95. It will not be that book because that book has not yet gone out to CGC. Don't sleep, bro. It has not gone out to CGC just yet, but I do indeed have that book sitting right here ready to go out with a stack of other things that I need to press and get ready for a good trip to CGC. So Logan, let's get to that. Logan is asking a question. Any opinion on Walking Dead ending? I don't. I think Walking Dead was going on for a really long time. And maybe it's because the creators wanted to go on to something else. I honestly haven't read any articles to know to know how and why they decided to end it. But maybe it's because they wanted to go on to something else. I think that there were some retailers that were very upset about the fact that they decided to end it without giving them a heads up because they felt like they could have made some money off of the Walking Dead ending. And in many cases, at least 3 retailers that I went to go see actually were shorted by Diamond for their orders. And so I think that a lot of people are, still trying to find these books. Retailers are still trying to, make a little bit of money off of this thing. I think there's a lot of true Walking Dead fans. You can see I have my Walking Dead back up there. But I think there's a lot of Walking Dead fans that are very sad that it's ending. But at the same time, if the creators have decided to kind of call it a day because they want to do some other things creatively, I kind of get that. But to be honest, I've never read a Walking Dead comic. I've never read it. And I have picked up partly because of spec. And I have a video coming out about this, 91, 92, 93. I have all 3 and some of the second prints, and 91 and 92. I'm sorry, 191 and 192 are actually at CGC right now, actually getting graded. So She Spawn 1992 says, thanks for the shout out, Reggie. She can't believe that she was number 2 on the list. Isn't that interesting? But congratulations for that for sure. Hopefully the next one you will be number 1. Scrolling through some of the comments here. Yeah, Wayne McDonald says his store limited to 1. Most of the shops that I went to that I deal with limited to 2. But there was one shop that I went to that normally does 2, but he actually cut me back to 1, and I respect it, right? Because he was shortchanged and he had a lot of customers that were calling about it, and he wanted to take care of people. So I completely get it. But thankfully, I know enough shop owners that I was able to kind of strategically map out a couple of things and have a couple of books be held for me, like the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, which kind of flew under the radar for a lot of people with the first female turtle. I was able to pick that up again because of the relationships that I have with some shop owners, which is really cool. Wayne says they only had enough 192 second print at the LCS for the pull list, none for the shelf. Yeah, that was definitely the case. Kirkman has a new development deal with Amazon and he didn't want to give AMC free source material. Dang, maybe there you go. And there's the answer. I do want to look that up because I want to, I appreciate people saying it, but I also want to kind of look into it for myself because I'm always just curious about some of the details. So yeah, more to come on that. Mark Tripp says his shop received over 100 copies. Goodness gracious. Goodness. The almighty Liger King says he got 192 and 193 in a group buy on eBay for 18 bucks. Congratulations on that, bro. That is awesome. Prices are crazy on 193. I think I have, well, you have to wait for my video. I don't want to preempt myself. So are you guys ready to see this week's Go Collect giveaway? And we'll do some more talking about whatever you guys want to talk about after I do this. But I want to actually show you this week's Go Collect giveaway. And as I mentioned, I've been reading some Valiant today, and I've been reading some Valiant, one, because I wanted to read Valiant, but also because I knew that I was going to be giving away this book right here, which I think is really cool. This is Exo Man-of-War, #1, 9.8 white pages. This was actually a recent question on trivia. If you guys remember that, I do story arcs. Everything is connected. So this is Exo Man-of-War, 9.8 Valiant. It's actually a pretty cool book. This is the origin and the first appearance of Exo Man-of-War, first appearance of a couple of other characters. So definitely a cool book. This is the book that is actually going to be given away this week as part of the Go Collect giveaway. TJ Slab Dragon is in the house. How you doing, brother? It is good to see you, my friend. So we're going to try to pop this screen back open so I can actually show you guys the FMV associated with this book, and hopefully everything works correctly. There we go. So let's go ahead. This is the Go Collect interface, and we are going to type in Exo Man-of-War #1, and hopefully this search will work with that setup. So we're going to scroll down, see if we can find this one. So here we go. This is Exo Man-of-War #1 from 1992. You can see that a 9.8 has an FMV of $230. Going to click the title here and actually just pop over and look at some of the sales. Look at, there have been a total of 505 sales from the last screen, but you can see here that a 9.8 is going for $230 is the current FMV, a little different from what we just saw. Most recent sale was around June. So you can see here some of the sales. Wow. Somebody on eBay, they look like they may have bid that up big time. $436 is what someone actually paid for Exo Man-of-War #1. And that is actually, I do believe, a blue label. That is a blue label. That is crazy. But you can see normally this book is hovering somewhere around the 170 mark. But someone definitely drove up the price with this purchase right here on 6/26, and that was not me. I'll tell you that right now. So definitely a cool book. This is going to be the book that is going to be given away. So all you have to do to win this book is watch the videos that come out this week from the channel. Find the video where I say, hey, do you want to add this book to your collection? Follow the directions that I actually give in the video, and you will be in the running to actually win this book. You tune in to the Ready, Set, Go preview show to find out if you are indeed the winner, like Catherine. So there you go. That is the cool book that is going to be given away. So there you have it. Let me go back to the chat to see what you guys are talking about. Connecting Comics says, wow, a couple of other words being dropped by the Liger King. Mark Spector says they got screwed on that price. Bro, I'm telling you, that is where emotion may have gotten the best of someone, because that is a ridiculous price. I mean, that is like well above the norm. So I don't know what that was about, but maybe that's one of the ones that maybe should be thrown out because it is such an anomaly. So here we go. We got a couple of comments from Dylan. Dylan says this channel is dope. I'm impressed with the research you do. Thank you, brother. I do take some time to actually look a lot of this stuff up. So I definitely appreciate that. Scrolling through some of the comments, see what else you guys are talking about. Ed, how you doing, brother? It's good to see you. Maddie Joe says they weren't able to get Walking Dead 193. There were some people that were commenting the other day that they didn't think that people were actually going to be interested in purchasing CGC copies of these last couple of Walking Dead comics. And I, at the time they mentioned it, I actually disagree with it, maybe a little too strongly, but I do actually disagree with that, because as I mentioned, I go to a lot of shops, and as I'm in these shops and I'm picking up books, there are people that are either calling in or in the shop that are trying to get these books, right? Because people want to be part of it. And there are a lot of people that did not get copies of The Walking Dead 193. In fact, there were some people that I know that received copies and they were damaged. If you saw my post that I put up the other day, one guy, I don't know, he had maybe 15 copies of it. Every single one of them was damaged. And so I think that there is definitely going to be a market for Walking Dead on the secondary market. How long, how high, who knows? But I definitely believe that people will continue to purchase The Walking Dead, like 191 through 193. Why? Because people are big fans of The Walking Dead. And I know a lot of people actually have runs of The Walking Dead. And I think it's really cool. So I think there definitely will be some movement on the secondary market for Walking Dead. And again, how far, how long, who knows? Wait a minute, hold on. Oh, Dakota is making the point here that their local shop only got 30 copies of Walking Dead 193. Was that all that they ordered, or did they get shortchanged? Because at least a couple of my local comic shops were actually shortchanged by Diamond, and they are actually trying to. Some places placed reorders. Some were shortchanged, and so they're hoping that they get the original first print, not second prints. But there's quite a few people that are actually going after that. Um, yeah, TJ Slab Dragon. Yeah, there you go. And no one's surprised, TJ, that yours is going to be a 9.8. I was talking to TJ earlier this week, and I was joking with him, asking if I think I was joking, asking about the Amazing Fantasy 15 9.8, whether that was one of your books in your collection. This dude has an impressive collection. It really is impressive. And I just don't know what he's sitting on. So I didn't know how jealous I should be if he was sitting on a 9.8 of Amazing Fantasy 15. Yeah, I mean, so Maddie Joe is making a comment here that maybe prices will go down if the show ends too. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, one can make an argument that because The Walking Dead is such a phenomenon, because people are such fans, that yeah, the TV show could end, but it's also on replay. And there's also people that for various reasons will, that missed out on getting a copy will still want it. And you have to remember, here's the thing they remember. A lot of people don't even know The Walking Dead is a comic book. A lot of people don't even know that Walking Dead was a comic book before it was actually a TV show, right? So it's one of those things that we don't quite know what's going to happen. And I think supposedly someone says that there was only like a really small print run of Walking Dead #1. And if that's true, then that will be something that I think is sought after for a very long time. So, again, it's like anything else. Who the heck knows? Manny Joe could be right. I could be right. We could both be wrong. Who the heck knows? And that's what makes this fun and also a little crazy at the same time. So I've already sent off 191 and 192, 2 copies of each. I did a screen for 9.8. So if they're not 9.8, I want them sent back to me. If they are, then I'll be getting some 9.8s of those. And then I have a couple of additional copies that I'll be sending off, hopefully for 9.8s as well. So let me scroll this. More comics coming to certain LCSs this week or next week, first print. Yeah. And again, I think a lot of people were shortchanged on their orders this week. So I know a lot of people were either shortchanged and or placed additional orders, and the orders based upon when I talked to people were still in limbo. So they weren't sure whether Diamond was going to honor them or cancel them or give them second prints. But yeah, From Heroes to Icons could be absolutely right that there's more books that are going to be coming. And then I did hear that there is also a second print. So I have no clue what the cover of that one is going to be. I think it was 192 that they actually did a Rick Grimes tribute cover. It's actually a pretty cool cover. So I got a couple of copies of those, and then I'm definitely going to keep my eyes open because one of my shops promised to give me or sell me another book for 193 because they were only able to give me one. And then I may look at the second prints as well. So we shall see. Steven is making an interesting point here. He says the Star Trek original series ended over 40 years ago, but it still followed. Yes, it is. And I recently, what was it, about 2? No, it was probably 4 years ago. I rewatched all of the original Star Trek from the beginning, from the pilot, and absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved that TV show, and we'll probably watch it again at some point. The immortal Biggie Shack is making a point that White Whale had Walking Dead #1. Yes, he does. And Torpedo Comics actually posted up their Walking Dead #1 earlier today on Instagram, and I was like, my buddy White Whale's got one of those. Scrolling through some of the comments. Greed is good, says Harvey Abel. You are hilarious. Scrolling through some of the comments. Same colored logo, different. Scrolling through. Tina, yes, it is the original. So I'm a big fan of like some of that original stuff. And so like Star Trek, I'm a huge fan of. MASH. Big fan of MASH. Ah, that is awesome. All right. Chris Barrett is talking about Deep Space Nine, which I absolutely enjoy. Deep Space Nine was good. I enjoyed that. I enjoy Voyager to some degree or another. The newest Star Trek I have not watched because I think it's only on like what is it, CBS Open Access or something like that. You have to have a subscription. I have not seen a single episode of that, but I'm actually hoping at some point that I'll be able to see that. There's a Mexican version of The Walking Dead. I didn't know that. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Not everyone loves MASH, IMJ. IMJ. That is not true. I wish it were because MASH is just a classic that I absolutely love. I used to watch it with my grandmother, and it is still one of my favorite shows. My wife was watching some program the other day, and it was like a look back at like pivotal moments in TV, and one of the things that they highlighted was actually Deep Space Nine. So it was just on TV. Just whoa, 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 whoa. Pause. Pause. Wayne McDonald, you are one of my favorite people, brother. That's why you have the wrench. But you can't say that you don't like MASH. You just cannot throw that. Oh, it's because you're not American. That's what it is. You're not American. I'm teasing. You guys are bringing up all this old stuff. Three's Company. I used to watch that too. I used to dig that. I used to dig that. I get Mylar sleeve. Yeah, foreign editions, i.e., Mexican translations, can be a collecting rabbit hole. Yes, so I have heard. So I have heard. Scrolling. Wait a minute. Walking Dead Gibbon version. Sign me up. Sign me up for some of that. Oh my goodness. So here's the thing. Oh, wait a minute. Who is this? Someone made a comment here. All right, so John Ryan. John Ryan is making a point here, talking about Malibu State Park. All right, so check this out. Here's the cool thing. Here's my connection to MASH because I am a MASH fan. So I work in the pharmaceutical industry and have for like 15 years, and I had an opportunity to do an actual photo shoot, and my photo shoot, which was set up in Malibu. Now, what was cool about this wasn't the fact that I was in Malibu, because I lived in Southern California for 6 years, so I wasn't impressed by that. But where we shot, if you remember the opening scene for MASH, there is the hills and the helicopter comes over the hills. We were shooting right in that valley where that helicopter came over the hills. That is one of the coolest things I've ever done in my career. Because I am a MASH fan, somebody was like, there are the hills from MASH. I'm like, where? And I took so many photos and videos of that. It's on my old phone, but that was one of the coolest things that I have done in my career, was to be in those hills where MASH was actually shot and not know it until I was actually there. So I thought that was really one of the cool things. John Ryan is bringing it up that it's actually set in Malibu. Very cool. No, not mashed potatoes, Monty. MASH, the TV show, bro. Don't ruin this for me. Don't ruin this, okay? You guys are awesome. MASH now got a theme song. So here's the thing. I talked to the owner of this MIP-It thing, and he was like, like Whip It. And I sent him a message and I was like, bro, now that song is in my head for the entire day. So you are very welcome. You're very welcome. Did I get to ride in a Huey? No. I did, however, do a setting where we had a carnival, and I was able to basically have my own carnival ride. So that was really cool. It was a field, and there was a fake carnival that we basically set up. And because I was the client, I basically got to ride in the fake carnival, so that was pretty cool. I've had some really cool things in my career, and one of them was that photo shoot that I had the chance to do a couple of years ago. So that was really cool. Whip it good. There you go. Rush Diehard with the Devo. Well done, so well done. I like those comments better than Wayne McDonald talking about he doesn't like MASH. Just saying. So Cody is asking the question here about which Mylars I use. If you guys have questions, type them in all caps and I'll try to get to them before we get ourselves out of here. I actually prefer 2 mil. I think that the 4 mil are too thick. I think that when you're trying to like get that flap down, that 4 mil is just too thick. I prefer a 2 mil. I think that's more than enough physical protection for a comic. And again, if you're using painter's tape, you can easily hold down that 2 mil flat with a nice piece of that painter's tape. The 4 mil, I feel like it bubbles or curves in the back, and then it doesn't fit down into the bins as cleanly as I would like. So I think that the 2 mil is more than enough. I have a bag of 4 mil at my ankle here that I don't even use because I don't like 4 mil. I just roll with the 2 mil. So hopefully that helps. I never heard of Police Squad. I've never seen that. Kyler is asking if he missed anything important. Yeah, you missed the whole show, bro. No, you didn't miss anything. We're just in here kind of chopping it up now. We had some announcements and things like that, but we're just having a little casual conversation here. So let me scroll. So someone says, Chaos Lore, how is it that there was never a MASH comic? I'm going to defer to you on that because you have been collecting longer than me. So if you say that there was not a MASH comic, I will defer. In that collection that I picked up from the 90s, I was very surprised. There was Star Trek comics. There was the Flash TV show, the original Flash TV show. There was 50 Goes West. There was Arachnophobia. There was New Kids on the Block. There was Married with Children. Those were like some of the adapted comics that I found. And and Star Trek. There was a Star Trek in there as well. But I did not see MASH. And maybe there isn't. Maybe there isn't a MASH adapted comic. But that is surprising because that show was extremely popular. Extremely popular. So there's a comment. So so Elephant in the Room is asking a question about backing boards. So I actually I was using originally Gerber products, and what I was doing was I was I using one full back and one half back? I want to say I was using one full and one half. I have a video on it to Fishing Freaks comment. I do have a video on it. So if you go and you search Regie Collects protection or comic book protection, you'll probably find a whole list of videos that I've done on various forms of protection for comics. And that was one of them. And I talk about it there, but I actually shifted from Gerber's products when I developed my relationship with BCW. I shifted over to BCW's products, and they only use one type of backing board for everything. They only use the same board, whether you're using a poly bag or a Mylar, it's the same bag. So it was much simpler. And what I ended up doing in most cases is actually using two backing boards because I like a little bit of rigidity in my comics. And I also feel like having two backing boards feels out the bag a little bit better with a comic inside so that the comic doesn't shift around a whole lot. And so when I was using the Gerber products, I was actually using a full back and a half back in a silver bag because I felt like their products were kind of expensive. So I only opted for one size bag. And that's kind of how I filled that gap, was by using those two backing boards of various thicknesses. That's how I closed the gap for a modern comic, for example. But when I went with BCW, I ended up getting age appropriately sized bags. And so I just used the two simple backing boards, didn't need to go with the thicker backing boards. So hopefully that helps. And then if definitely Elephant in the slab room, I'm sorry, Elephant in the Room, if you have questions, just let me know. We can definitely talk more about it. Scrolling through, Cody says he likes the triple boarded silvers, but modern looks so clean. Matty Joe's getting on the treadmill. Get it. Oh, no, there were no Alfs in there. No Alf comics, not in that collection. So I am reading Deceased. Logan is asking what I'm reading. I'm actually reading Deceased. I'm not reading Avengers. I actually had Avengers on my pull list, but I have not read it in quite some time, but I am reading Deceased. So, scrolling through. Oh, okay. Wayne McDonald's clarifying for some people here in the room about what we were actually talking about with that title. So there you go. All right. So I think if that's about it, if you guys don't have any other questions or stuff like that, I'm definitely going to keep it moving on. I don't want to keep you guys any longer. Savage Avengers, I have not picked that one up. The challenge is that there are so many just great books just over time that there's not enough hours in a day to read everything. You know what I'm saying? There's just not enough time. And for me, it's not like Savage Avengers isn't a cool title, because I've heard it's really good. The same thing I've heard about Conan. I've heard Daredevil, the new Daredevil's really good. There is just not enough time. And what I want to try to avoid is ever buying books and then just never reading them. You know, like I just recently caught up on all of the Amazing Spider-Man, the new title, because I was so behind on that. So I basically binged read for like a day to kind of catch up because I was so far behind. And so that's one of my challenges. I think there's a lot of really good titles like Savage Avengers, Conan, Daredevil. I mean, that's not even talking about the DC books, but there's just not enough days, not enough hours in a day to actually get through some of that stuff. Um, ba, 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 ba. James Tomlinson, I don't understand that question. Bags for autographs, custom bags. You mean like cutting the window in there? I've never done it. I actually don't even have a video on it. When I actually talked about those windows for con season, I actually linked to someone else's article. Because you have to remember, I don't go to a whole lot of cons and I don't get a whole lot of signatures. So I actually linked to someone that actually had some expertise to help you guys figure out how to create those custom windows. So if you find that video where it's I think it's like a con tips video. It was around the time that I went to WonderCon, I think, when I recorded that one. But if you search Regie collects con tips or something like that, tips for a successful con, you should be able to find it. So there you go. Scrolling through some of the comments again, because you guys got on a roll here dropping these comments in. Monty Vista, thank you for stopping by, brother. I definitely appreciate it. Enjoy the rest of your day. Scrolling through Breaking Bad, that was a dope show. Breaking Bad was amazing. I don't know if I would read it as a comic, but it was definitely a good TV show. Scrolling through James Tomlinson co-signing the Savage Avengers. I've seen some of those covers that are dropping about Savage Avengers, and they are nice. And like I said, I've heard really great things about the story. So so I think that, like Mark Spector is saying, there's no need to cut a hole in the bag. Just ask the person. The challenge, I think in some cases, like when I went to Stan Lee and they were like sliding books down the table and we were being told not to talk to Stan Lee, it was like having a signature bag would have been perfect for that kind of situation, because when they would get your book and they would be slid down the table from person to person, they would just touch your book like this. They wouldn't even like gently slide it. They would just palm it and slide it. But we were actually told no signature windows. We had to take all comics out of the plastic and actually just set them on the table, and then they just slid them down. So I think it depends upon the setting whether a signature window is necessary. Depends on whether you're getting the signature, whether you're using a facilitator to get your signature on your behalf. I know a lot of people feel awkward with like interrupting a creator and kind of requesting where they sign. But if the signature window is there, it potentially makes that less awkward, especially if you're an introvert. So I think you have to look at your situation, look at your personality, and decide what's going to be best for you, you know? So I definitely get that. And then some people also want a certain color, and so they will write on the margin of the window what color they want it to be signed in, because I think that helps memory, especially if you have a stack of books that you're getting to sign. So Felix, thank you for stopping by, brother. Definitely appreciate you coming by. Showed up at the CGC booth without an autograph bags. They can give you pre-done bags. There you go. That's cool. Mylar's making a point, dropping the comment here to help folks out. Very good. Maddie, thank you for coming by, brother. I definitely appreciate you spending a little bit of time here in the live stream. My Light 2 are good. Yeah. And so Emerald Knight is making a point here that My Lights 2 from E. Gerber are great, but they're expensive. That's part of the reason why I switched over to BCW's bags, their archival bags. There were two reasons. One, the My Lights are expensive. Their products are expensive. And two, I developed that relationship with BCW. So you kind of got to switch over to use the actual product if you're going to be talking about the product. But now that relationship with BCW has ended, I'm still using their archival bags because the My Lights are expensive. They're good bags, right? They are the inventors of the technology that basically found a way to seal a Mylar bag for the purpose of comics. They developed that technology, I think back in like 77 or something like that. I did a video on that too. But their bags are expensive, and there is definitely a premium to get their products. And so the BCW bags, I think, are as good. And so there you go. That's what I choose to use. Scrolling through some of the comments here. Scrolling through. What is the grade on that ASM 121? Which one is the ASM 121? Oh. Sorry about that. That ASM 121 is a 9.4. That is a 9.4 by that. James, thank you for stopping by, brother. I definitely appreciate you coming by for a little while. Scrolling through some of the comments. Oh, one other thing I want to mention to you guys, and I forgot this. I actually didn't even put it in my notes. I have mystery boxes. I put this note up on the community tab. So if you guys are interested in getting mystery boxes, I have 7 left. I didn't do a whole lot this time. I think I only did a total of 11. I have 7 mystery boxes left. So if you guys are interested, head over to the community tab. All the details in terms of pricing, what's in them, photos of them are all on the community tab. So head over there, check it out. If you're interested, let me know. I can get them bundled up and shipped off tomorrow morning. And shout out to those people that have actually picked some of the mystery boxes up already. I definitely appreciate you guys doing that. But I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that. Do you change your comics on your wall all the time? So David, this is David, I think you're relatively new to the channel. So here's the thing. So I will sometimes record weeks of videos at once, and then I'll release the videos over time based upon like what's going on and whether I get inspired to create new content, whether something is happening in the marketplace that requires me to make a change or modification. So you have to remember that when you're seeing live videos, they may be different from the pre-recorded video that you just watched, because that pre-recorded video could have been filmed 3 weeks ago. So that is like one of the things, is the room seems to be ever changing, but that's because of how I record videos, you know. So the live stream is the best way to know what the current view is. But the wall changes. I think maybe once a month, I make a change to the background. But again, you could be watching videos from 3 weeks ago. You could see one of those videos tomorrow. Who the heck knows? So hopefully that kind of helps. Ed says, thank you for introducing me to the BCW comic box. Are you talking about the printed boxes? Because those things are dope. I have them stacked right over here. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I have them stacked like 4 high in some cases with like a CGC graded box on top. And these things look brand new. And I definitely dig the BCW products. And again, I'm not even working with these guys anymore, but I still dig the products because they're the products, honestly, that I've used since I was a kid. I didn't even know that there were other comic supply companies out there, because I had always used BCW. And that's part of the reason why I worked with them, is because I just like their products. So scrolling through, Chaos Lore says he uses my lights because it's good enough for the Smithsonian, good enough for my comics. Brother, I definitely respect that. I respect it. And that's, again, why I started with them, because they invented the technology. They are respected. They've been in the industry since the 70s, you know? So there you go. I definitely respect that. Scrolling through some of the Kaya Element says, Mylar is expensive. You have to buy in bulk. Well said, brother. Well said. Yeah, I probably had that 121 for about 2 years now, because I don't know that I've bought a CBCS book in a while. That was probably purchased back when I was still on the fence about CBCS and CGC. And then once I decided on CGC, everything I've bought since then has been CGC. So scrolling through some of the comments here, Mark Spector said, I wasn't aware that your sponsorship ended with BCW. Now that you need a sponsor. Oh man. Yeah. So I ended my relationship with them probably about 2 months ago, and I haven't spoken about it because there was really no need to really talk about it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I ended that relationship about 2 months ago. My original contract with them actually ran out, and I didn't renew. You know, and I think it was a really good relationship for the time that it was in place. I think they're a solid company. I definitely enjoy working with them. Would I work with them again? Absolutely. Absolutely. So there you go. Scrolling through some of the comments. Andrew is asking, are you ever going to sell one of those ASM 300s you picked up? All of them have been sold. Every single one except for my one copy of ASM 300 has been sold. So generally speaking, this is the way that it works, is that if you aren't following me on Instagram, you definitely want to do that, because what I do is I actually post up things in my story on Instagram that I'm selling, and things sell relatively quickly. And then if you ever see something in a video where I'm like, hey, I just got this in, I'm probably going to sell it, you probably want to reach out to me, because again, depending upon when you see the video, it could be 3 weeks old and I could have already sold it. So you just want to definitely stay in, get on Instagram, follow me on Instagram, look at the story, because I don't post it to my gallery. I will put it in a story if something is for sale. But yeah, though every single one of those Amazing Spider-Man 300s that I picked up have been sold. Trying to think. If you're really interested in what I have, just drop me a message on Instagram and I can send you photos and videos and all that kind of stuff, because I have some low number ASM still left. And I may have a couple of keys. I can't remember off the top of my head. Stuff kind of comes in and then it kind of goes out. So yes, you did indeed miss the GI Joe giveaway, brother. You got to go back and watch it from the beginning. We did the giveaway, and I think it was Catherine. I think it was Catherine that actually won that book. So got that Walking Dead 192. Kyler saying he got a Walking Dead 192 from me from Trivia Night. So congratulations on that. It was a nice book, wasn't it? I think it was in really good shape. It was one of the ones that I did not send to CGC, but it was still a really nice copy of that book. So I'm glad that you liked it, glad that you got it. So there you go. Johnny Future, the video he's talking about, we were talking about earlier about the signature windows tips for successful con attendance, was 3 months ago. Seems like just yesterday that I did that one. Scrolling through the comments here. What grade is my Lobo? My TJ Watson, I'm not telling you my grade. He says, what grade is your Lobo? I want to make sure that I get a copy that is better. Collecto 6 did that to me. So I pick up a Gibbon first appearance, 9.0. He picks up a 9.4 or a 9.6. I can't remember. And I'm like, so my Lobo is a 7.0. That Lobo back there is a really cool book. That is, I believe my buddy, Sully Two Kings actually hit me to that. The Lobo, that was the first Black character to have his own title. And I think this dropped in like 1965, I want to say. Awesome book. It is actually a Western. And I'm not a Western guy, but I read it and it was actually pretty darn good. It was pretty darn good to be as old as it is. I definitely enjoyed that. I still need to get Lobo 2 at some point. But this book was actually canceled. And there's a long story behind it, but basically it was never disclosed that he was a Black character. People found that he was Black when issue number 1 came out. There was a little bit of backlash, and then the title was ultimately canceled. So only 2, I think, issues 1 and 2 were printed, but it's definitely a really cool story. It's a yellow cover, so I definitely dig that. So TJ Slab Dragon is probably going to show up at like a 9.8 or a 9.6 of this book and hurt my heart, but it is what it is. Oh man, I'm scrolling through the comments here to see what you guys are talking about. Scrolling. You guys clearly are talking about the mounts that are on my wall. So collectormount.com is the URL for that. Bill is the owner of the company. That is what I use in the room here. And if you actually do a search, Regie Collects comic room tour or something like that, you should be able to find it. I think it's episode 5 or 6 where I actually talk about the mounts, show you how I mount them, all that good stuff. Typically I have a video on just about everything. So definitely check that out. Definitely, it's a cool product. I definitely dig it. Somebody just got them the other day, reached out to me asking for some advice how to mount them, because it's a little scary the first time you use it and stick your expensive comic on the wall. You know what I'm saying? But it's definitely a really cool product. I do not have a discount code for them, but they are pretty affordable. And again, Bill is the owner of collectormount.com. Awesome guy who I've been talking with off and on for like the last year or so. There was a question here, Regie something. Let me see. I think I lost it. I lost it. Again, if you guys throw it in caps, it helps my old eyes. There was a question here, Regie, do you something? And I completely lost it. So I apologize for that. Harvey Abel, thank you, brother. I appreciate you coming by. Hopefully the closed captions pop up for you so you can actually see it. Chuck, Chuck, how you doing, brother? Chuck is co-signing the Lobo back here, saying it's the first black superhero that predates Black Panther. I want to say Black Panther was what, in the 66 maybe, and I want to say that this one dropped in 65. But he's technically not a superhero, but he's a hero who is black, which again, it's all cool stuff. I'm more of a spandex and tights kind of guy, but when I found out about that book and that character, I had to get it. I think it's a really awesome book, and like I said, it's actually a pretty good story that I've actually read. Scrolling through some of the comments here, Elephant in the Room was like, I thought Lobo was the Omega Man. No, it is not that Lobo. It's a different Lobo. Stay tuned because I have a video coming out about that too. Yes, TJ Slamdragon co-signing. He says 770 for that Lobo is a nice grade, hard to find. There's only 2 issues. Yep, that is correct. Scrolling through. So here, Chris Barrett is asking me the question of why did I pick 261 instead of going with 300? Okay, so let's talk about this. So I am doing a full run of Amazing Spider-Man. I am going 1 through 801. I am getting every single copy of Amazing Spider-Man for across all volumes. I stopped at 261 because when I was doing my original inventory and I was writing out my list of all the books that I needed to get that I was missing, the last book in the bin was 261. The last book in the bins that I had out on the table was 261. And if you remember my original list was something like was probably 4 or 5 columns. It was long. So the fact that I stopped at like 260, it was a perfect place to start because I basically had a backing board full of issues that I was missing, right? And so it didn't make sense to continue going on beyond 261 because there would just be like 4 pages of backing boards of comics that I was missing. So I stopped at 261 because it was just a natural place to actually stop. Or maybe I had 263 in the bin and that's why I stopped at 261 because 263 was the last one. I can't remember. But it's one of those things where if you were trying to take down a big goal, the best way to take down that big goal is to break it down into smaller, manageable tasks. And a single backing board of a list was an easy way for me to manage what was missing. And as I've continued to take down those books, the list has gotten shorter and shorter, right? That's just how I've opted to manage it. While at the same time, I've really focused on 1 through 261, I've been picking up other books that are part of the run. But if you really think about Amazing Spider-Man, the vast majority of the cost is those lower numbers. And so I was really focusing my energies, my efforts, and my money on those harder books, those more expensive books to find. Those other books, honestly, you can find the vast majority of them for like $4, at the most, right? In most cases, not ASM 300, but I already had that. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully that helps kind of explain some of my thinking around why I decided to draw the line there. It could have been 300. It could have been 400. It could have been any number. It could have been any number. It just so happened that 261 was a great place to actually break for the moment. All right, so let me scroll down. There was a comment. What thoughts on Wolverine's new dog? Oh, I don't know anything about this. Almighty Liger is asking about Wolverine's new daughter. I don't know anything about that. I have not been reading the new Wolverine series since he came back. I thought it was a little gimmicky, so I didn't really read any of that stuff. So you have my apologies on that. I may have to get caught up on that one. Sorry about that. Scrolling down, TJ is basically saying Lobo was a piece of comic history. Absolutely. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to pick it up. Chuck is talking about Black Panther actually dropped in 66. And then is Lobo, if you guys can search it, was Lobo 65? I want to say Lobo was 65 and then Black Panther was 66. There was another book. There was another really important black comic that I want to get. But I think it's even more rare than Lobo, and it's definitely more expensive. And I can't even remember the title, and it might not be an appropriate title to actually say out loud, but it was another book that Sully Two Kings actually told me about, and I wanted to get, but it was super expensive. So maybe I can at some point get a hookup from a friend or something like that. Oh man. So I'm scrolling through. So King of the Golden State, not that Lobo, bro. King of the Golden State coming in here all late. Not that Lobo. The Lobo that's back on the wall, the black cowboy from 1965, that Lobo, not the other Lobo. Oh man. Scrolling through some of the comments. You guys are hilarious. Scrolling through the comments here, scrolling. Marvel Comics Presents number 6. I'll have to write that down. I'll have to look into that one. Wolverine needs to calm down. He does have a lot of offspring, right? Whether they be clones or something like that. Yeah, Chris Barrett, there you go. That's the book. That's the book. And I don't use that word, so I won't say that one out loud. But yeah, that's the book. Chris Barrett just typed it in there, which I think is super helpful. So I would like to get that book, but it is not a cheap book at all. So scrolling through, X-23 is a clone, but he treats her like a daughter. Well said. Scrolling through. All right, cool. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get myself out of here. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me. And I want to thank everyone that has spent all of this time kind of hanging out with me this evening. I definitely enjoy chatting with you guys. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the live stream. If you missed the giveaway, you definitely want to go back and rewatch it because the giveaway was done earlier. We also talked about Spider-Man being gay. And don't forget, if you guys are interested in mystery boxes, I have 7 of them left. All of the details are posted to the community tab. They're $50, but definitely head over there. All the details are there. Then let me know if you guys are interested. I get them bundled up and sent out and all that good stuff. Stay tuned. I think that there is some good content that is going to be coming out this week, including that pressing video that we have been talking about for like the last week. It is coming out, at least part 1. There's probably going to be like 3 or 4 parts of this thing, but at least part 1 is actually coming out this week. So hopefully you guys don't want to miss that. And like I said, if you guys need me, just reach out to me. I am available on Instagram at Regie Collects, and then also on email at regiecollects@gmail.com. Take care.